waiting for my Dyson, waiting at the window. I don't wanna miss it. I got a dusty house, live on a major street. There's a lot of traffic. If you listen, you can hear it. If you listen, you can hear it. S-A-A-Q, just waiting for my license. Waiting for
Here we are, everyone. Back. Another episode. If it be your world podcast, what a mouthful sometimes, even from me. Today, I am not reaching very far. You might have noticed I've been reaching out to a lot of my locals, which means Montreal artists in Quebec as well. And I have Common Holly, Brigitte Naggar, who's the Common Holly, who just had a couple of really great albums come out recently. An EP just came out in February, which is called They Will Draw Halos Around Our Heads, which was dropped in February. And it has this really close connection to another record that she just put out in 2025 in June called Anything Glass. We're going to talk about her process, the writing of these two records, and we'll definitely find out what's coming down the pipe with Common Holly as well. So, Bridget, thanks so much for hopping on here today.
I'm glad to be here.
So, Bridget, I like to begin these with a little jot down memory lane. What was it that brought you to music? What in those early years? What was the attraction to it that got you to where you are now?
Yeah, this is a jot down memory lane. If I'm thinking back, it sort of started with dance. I was very serious about dance for a lot of my childhood, and I think I connected really closely to music through movement, and then I kind of transitioned out of dance and more into music over time, starting with piano. And then I abandoned piano, went towards guitar, kind of following my dad's lead, and got into some choirs. And I think the more I go through it, the more I realize that the instrument is not actually that important for me. It's always just been kind of a channel through which to speak. So, yeah.
Right. And in those early years when you were starting to say to yourself that you wanted to write your own and, maybe perform as well, how did you come to your sound? Like, what helped build that in your mind as to this is the direction that I would like to go towards? Was there like an encounter with collaborators, or you just started doing it? Can you fill those gaps a bit?
Okay. Well, if I go back to kind of the origin point of songwriting, I know I was listening a lot at the time to fellow Canadian female singer-songwriters. I'm thinking of Emily Haines. I'm thinking of Feist. This was their kind of heyday when I was growing up into music. And so learning a lot of their music, and then, I don't know, becoming an adolescent, having a lot of feelings and not knowing what to do with them, I found that music was a really important kind of sublimation path. So I stole away to my bedroom and kind of very quietly started putting some of those emotions into sound, and didn't let anyone hear that for quite a while. It was a pretty big leap for me to performance, and performance of music has never really felt that natural to me. I think I'm more of a quiet, secret music kind of person.
Right. I mean, I hear that in your music. It's very fragile at times and very quiet and intimate, and it does feel like you're getting stuff out, so that you can also that you can deal with it. But in that process, I think that you open it up to everybody else that has these similar feelings, which I have always appreciated, that artists can tap into those kinds of feelings that are hard to put words to. And then when you have some words with this music that blend together, it really starts to make sense. I'm curious, like, because it is a very, you're bearing yourself. And I've always find this fascinating of singer-songwriters that have the capacity to then take these intimate songs that, as you said, sometimes they're processes of you dealing with something. Where does the shift come where, it's that quiet, like, let me go into my room and meditate and write, to, I want to share these. I want to have the capacity to be able to come and share these thoughts and feelings that I know other people have because they're universal. We're all human in the end. Could you talk a little bit about that, where that switch started to happen for you?
Yeah, somehow, as unnatural as it is to perform, the idea of sharing was extremely natural. And so maybe that started collaboratively. If I think back to, for example, first encountering my co-producer, Devon Bate, there was this immediate kind of chemistry that we had both as friends and as collaborators. And I think having the possibility of like making something that could be shared and then connecting to other people through that making was, I don't know, maybe the most magical part of this whole thing, the most important part of this whole thing. And then I think maybe I didn't realize until later that when you write music, which does feel quite personal, does feel quite relatable, there's a kind of connecting there too, even to people that you may never encounter. There's something you're putting out that people can respond to.
Interesting. And you've been collaborating with Devon for a long time. Like, he produced your first, let me get the name right, Playing House, right? Was that your first in 2017?
Yeah.
And he's been with you through this whole voyage so far of releasing records with you.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. How do I explain it? I think we just like found each other through the mist. And, there was a point somewhere down the line where I experimented with working with different producers just to kind of see, and that in a way almost reaffirmed my wish to just work with Devon. Something about his production style, it's like there's no ego in it at all. He's so much in service of the artist, and you hear that with all the artists he works with, Jean-Michel Blais, Jeremy Dutcher, Everly Lux. Like, there's a real collaboration. And so you can hear him in the music, but you really hear the voice of the artist. And I think I really appreciated that. And the more I work with him, the more I learn to be my own producer as well. There's a kind of affirmingness to his work.
Amazing. And has your process together solidified more? I mean, I guess it's a pretty logical question that you've maintained this relationship because it works so well. Has how you guys record together changed over time? Like, the process itself? I had read an article a while ago that said that your process used to be very long, like it took time, and that as you've been growing as an artist, you're able to kind of speed it up. And at the same time, your music also seems to have been, I don't want to say sped up, but, has more of a sonic overtone to it. Have you found that evolution is happening? Has the production side of things become easier as the more you do this, and maybe describe a little bit of how that's happened?
Oh, definitely. I think just kind of by virtue of working with the same person or some of the same people for a really long time, you do kind of develop habits and automatic ways of doing things. And when we first started, I mean, we were both kind of learning a language, what's commonality, and then also learning how to work with each other. And, neither of us had so much experience. writing, producing music. And so, we would sit in his little bedroom studio and kind of tweak things and go, is that right? Maybe not. Okay, let's try something else. Is that right? Maybe not. And then over the years, I mean, he's definitely risen, in the ranks as a producer. I have been able to get grants, through time, and that helps with getting studio time, finding a studio you like, which in my case is Danderend, also in Montreal. Working with musicians over time that you develop a relationship with also changes the process. We're all building a shared language. And so there's something automatic that starts to form there.
Right, right. And I love that you keep bringing community into this, because I think it's a huge part of Montreal's scene. This new movie where Mile End Kicks that has just recently hit the shelves and kind of paints this, gritty indie scene of early 2000s. Does that respond to you, community? Like, I guess my question is, what does the Montreal indie scene mean to you? And how has it helped form Common Holly and the sound? Because I know you collaborate a ton with some amazing people, amazing artists out there. Could you paint that picture a little bit of that Montreal scene and the collaboration that tends to happen within it?
Yeah, I don't think I knew when it first started happening what I was really getting into. And maybe now looking back on 2011, 2016, 2020, I mean, 2020 was a big year for the world, but till now, I think the longer I'm in the scene, the more I come to appreciate it. I have musical relationships with people that are 15 years old now. And just recently, my close friend and collaborator, Tanya Iyer, hosted a house show for her birthday. And, 15 of Montreal's best, performed in this intimate way with a string quartet who were a house band. And, I have a monthly jam band with Ali from Adalia, with Cedric, Noel, with different guests who come in. And so I think we're all bouncing off of each other, and we're all helping each other make new things, and we're all supporting each other. And that's even becoming more clear kind of after the pandemic, how important this community is, how important it is to keep making things and keep sharing.
Absolutely. And it seems like a very, as you say, like it's beyond the music as well. It's like at the human level, these relationships where, music or not, they're going to be a part of your fabric. But the fact that they also write and perform and, walk in the same, pathways together, it seems like we're starting to get this real great buzz again. I find in Montreal, like it kind of ebbs and flows over time, but there's so much good music coming out of Montreal right now. It's insane.
Yeah.
Do you feel that when you're performing in Montreal? Do you feel the love is there in the crowd, that the support is there, that it's a little less intimidating or less scary as it might have been previously?
I feel a renewed appreciation for live music, for the Montreal scene, that maybe at one point we lost. I think, I don't know if we got too cool or something, too big for our britches, but there was a bit of a blasé attitude that was there. And maybe this is idealistic of me, but after the pandemic, I don't know, we were all able to reorient in a way and kind of work out, what's meaningful and what's important. And also just to recognize how much brilliant creativity comes out of Montreal and how many different types of music there are. There's a big folk scene. There's a big post-punk scene. There's, great alternative rock scene. There's all kinds of stuff happening here. Jazz, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. And I guess I want to talk a little bit about your latest EP and the record that came out in 2025. How did those, I mean, I kind of bunched them together because I just feel like they're friends. They're very intimately, closely were those recorded all in the same shot? The EP and the LP?
Almost all in the same shot. So a couple of the songs from the EP were recorded for the album originally, and then were cut from the album just because they didn't kind of fit as well as some of the others. And then I went back into studio for a day and recorded 3 songs really fast to make the EP. But I agree, there's a companionship between them. They belong to the same kind of era of Common Holly, so it makes sense that they fit together.
Yeah. I think I felt too like there's a couple of nods, as you said. These might have been the 3 or the 2 songs that you recorded, but like the last song, Dyson, just seems like old Common Holly, and like just kind of an older recording style of, and then the ending kind of brings you into the new fold a bit. I just, some of the songs really are, they feel like you're showing your transition or your evolution in you as a songwriter. And how did these songs come together? Because I mean, the last album you put out was Playing House, right? That was in 2017.
So there was Playing House, and then there was When I Say to You, Black Lightning.
Right. And then you had a little bit, like, there's a 4-year period in there. Was that where most of these songs were written in that period, or are some of these songs you're reaching further back than that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm sure that at least some of them were older than 4 years old. Can I remember which? No. But it's true that, and this is something I hear at times, there is like a old Common Holly, new Common Holly kind of distinction, which is not always as clear to me as it is to other people's. I'm even curious kind of what you're hearing when you hear Dyson versus the newer stuff, but yeah, most of it happened in that 4, 5, 6 year period.
Right. And what was your process like putting these songs together? How do you approach songwriting as an artist?
Increasingly, I take my cues from the instrument. And so, for example, for Anything Glass, I kind of returned to the piano for the first time since those piano lessons I referred to earlier. And I feel like what comes out of the instrument kind of informs the direction of the song. And sometimes I'll kind of have a feeling and write a poem from it and then turn that into lyrics. So, for example, They Will Draw Halos Around Our Heads, that was a poem, and you can kind of hear it is maybe more formless. It wasn't really written as a song, but then it found its way into melody and into song.
That's cool. And I mean, the record's been out for a little bit, and the EP just came out in March, right? No, February, sorry. How are people receiving it the way you intended?
I was kind of surprised both times with the album and with the EP that my favorite song ended up seeming to be the most popular with people. I think maybe before now, I've always assumed that people would connect more with, let's say, the more accessible or more poppy songs, or sometimes it's the songs I write the fastest. And this time around, I noticed that it's almost like my taste and the audience's taste aligned. And I find that really useful to know, because it shows me that I can like just go with what I like the most and what connects with me the most. Not that I'm doing this for audience reception, but it is useful to know what connects with me, connects with others, seemingly.
Amazing. That's a cool realization to come to as well, that, you're tapped into your listeners a bit, like in that sense that you have similar thoughts to what they had. Because it's not always like that. You might have an intention of a song and it might miss the mark, or it might exceed the mark. I mean, it just depends. Well, Brigitte, it's been really great chat. I have one final question for you. What can we anticipate from Common Holly throughout the rest of this year, and any new EPs or singles that are in the works that you can obviously mention? What's coming down the pipe with Common Holly?
Hmm. It's a good question. I've got 2 out of town shows coming up, one in June and one in September. That's going to be Toronto, and then a festival in Rotterdam. So I'll do maybe a little Europe situation. Yeah, it's all, I guess my approach at this point is very organic. So if things come up that are aligned with me, then I'll do them, but I'm not pushing harder than makes sense for where I'm at now. And in terms of writing and releasing, I'm always writing. So I'm sure there will be more releases, but I don't have anything marked out at this stage. What I will say is that the more space and time that I have, the more I'm finding myself learning different instruments. So I wouldn't be that surprised if there's an all vocal album or EP or cello based album or EP, or yeah, I think it can take any form coming up, but certainly what you've heard in the last year is maybe a more stabilized version of Common Holly. So maybe there's something reliable there too.
Amazing. I love it. Well, I really appreciate your time today, Brigitte, and your words and your thoughtful reflections on your music. I wish you all the best with new music and your trip to Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Good luck. That's at the Left of the Dial Festival, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Well, good luck with that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely keep you on our radar. And people, if you get a chance to go and see Common Holly, do it. Buy a record, buy a T-shirt, support our artists. They need it. All the best, Brigitte. And I hope our paths cross again sometime.
Me too, Chris. Thank you.
Thanks. Great.
With the art pressed out of you, you mingle with nothing. They'll pipe ideas into your head like a bag of frosting, because it looks open. Can't decide if you want to be the small that they made you, having learned it so well. Let them